We're happy today to welcome Chris Brunet.
I'm a journalist / writer. This might yet turn out to be the biggest economic scandal of the past year or the past decade. Elite left-wing economists and left-wing fascists. These leftist economists, plagiarists, p-hackers, data manipulators, frauds, Maya Rossenslatter and Petra Persson, they ripped off a paper from another discipline and passed it off as their own. These authors took no accountability and instead played the gender card. They want EJMR to cease to exist, and they want you to believe that this censorship is justified because EJMR is sexist or toxic or anti-diversity or whatever. And this censorship is always in the name of diversity. These three Yale professors hacked EJMR and illegally stole millions of IP addresses. EJMR exposed him as a plagiarist. He hacked the website, claiming that he's doing this hack in the name of science and diversity. He's weaponizing diversity.
And how many of the people were affected that were on EJMR?
A black hat hacker, which is what this is. ChatGPT replied, yes. Why are the three Yale professors not serving 41 months in federal prison right now? The reason is that there are two sets of laws in Joe Biden's America, and the law does not apply to useful left-wing activists. Econ Twitter Mastodon server, which is where left-wing economists fled when Elon Musk bought Twitter.
I'm really loving this.
They've also publicly hinted several times that they'll share it through back channels with their friends. And there's proof of that. It's really serious. It's really not a joke. If Jennifer Doliak can find the old data, you better believe the Chinese government can find the old data as well. Here she is bragging about it. So it's not just Mastodon users, not just gay people, not just dissidents who are at risk from this hack. It's also mentally fragile individuals prone to anxiety, depression, or suicide. Many of them turn to EJMR for solace in tough times. Florian, I am happy to debate you about EJMR and the state of free speech any place, anytime. Jake Victor, he wants the end of anonymity, and but no more criticizing the Chinese or the Turkish governments anymore online because Jake Victor doesn't want you to. This is not even really an economics paper. It's really an undergrad level cybersecurity paper mixed with gossip. Incredibly, the paper was too unethical and/or flawed for even the New York Times to report on, even though they must have desperately wanted to cry about diversity in economics. The term toxic is really not a scientific word. People who support this paper have weaponized this word toxic to control the public discourse and to slander any views they don't agree with, just like they do with the terms hate speech or misinformation or disinformation. The Toxigen algorithm has that left-wing human bias built into it. The Yale team concluded that 10% of posts on EJMR were toxic, and I conclude that it was 11%.
We're a bunch of free speechers here. Toxic or non-toxic? If it's illegal to find your IP address and dox you for what you did anonymously, and it's even more illegal if what you did is what somebody else thinks is toxic.
These people are incompetent and doing sloppy work. That's also relevant beyond the fact that they're criminals.
They're willing to share the data, the IP data, with their friends through back channels so that their friends can look through anyone's IP address that they want. Let's hope they're not friends with the Chinese or Turkish governments. Justin Wolfers, he doesn't care. He tweets it out to the world. And that post contains Kirk's IP address, but also all his contact information, personal information, name, who his mother is, his mother's contact information. Florian Ederer, that the EU should give him a massive punitive fine or arrest him. Those are the two links there to report this hack to the FBI.
You put up the FBI, in which I presume you have tipped the FBI off to this.
So it's really a question now of whether you find his results more plausible or my results more plausible. His data was extremely p-hacked and manipulated.
There are many different ways of peer review, right? And this is one of them, whether we like it or not. And the same guarantees of anonymity that apply to referees should apply in this case.
Whether we are or not toxic by some completely arbitrary toxic measure.
Thanks, Chris, for that very interesting presentation. This definition of toxic is basically completely bogus. And also, what is toxic speech? It's a totally subjective thing. We're free speechers here, so we tend to care less about these types of issues. This paper actually might very well be doing things that are both unethical and illegal, and it's a scandal that university resources were used for it.
And advertising that the data is available to their friends.
Excellent paper.
So these are not people who want to shut down bad speech because it's bad. They want to shut down good speech because They just want to impose their thing. So I think that's worth.
A great talk, Chris. I really loved the talk and all the hard work you've put into this. So thanks. It's really service to the profession. How much should people that wrote some of the, whatever toxic posts wrote, how much do they have to fear and by whom? And do you have any sense of that? I'm kind of curious about that.
Great presentation, Chris.
Maybe the Classical Liberalism Initiative needs to come up with the Classical Liberalism Indicator of Toxicity. That would be a lot of fun. Or the Free Speech Indicator of Toxicity, which will once every 10 years say something is toxic.